Greetings from New York City. I'm Phil and we're running the bridges. This is a video series where we visit all the bridges in New York City that you can run across. The big, the small, the old, the new, the world famous icons, and the ones you've never even heard of. You might have even crossed dozens of times without even knowing it. But this is the very first video in the series, so thank you for watching, welcome. And what we're going to be doing is talking a little bit about the bridge, the statistics, nuts and bolts, so to speak, of the bridge, a little bit about the history, a little bit about the area, and hopefully in a lot of cases some items of interest specifically for runners. So we are here for our very first bridge in the series at the University Heights Bridge. And this bridge crosses the Harlem River, and it connects 207th Street in Manhattan, in the Inwood neighborhood of Manhattan, very near the northern tip of the island, with West Fordham Road in the University Heights neighborhood of the Bronx. And this is a swing bridge, as you can see behind me, the infrastructure there. So the main span, it's a type of a drawbridge. The main span rotates, it doesn't swing, it rotates 90 degrees on the central axis to allow boats through, to allow larger boats through, because otherwise it only has about 24 feet of clearance above the river, which is fine for most boats, including like Circle Line tours, but for larger barges, larger shipping, it has to rotate in order to open. And so when you're researching these bridges and you're looking at DOT information, engineering information, they give a length of the main span and then the length of the overall length of the bridge, which includes like on-ramps. Sometimes there are like multiple bridges connected, but the main span, that swing span there, is 264 feet long, and the overall length of the bridge, including on-ramps and approaches, 1,566 feet. So I'm standing on one of the approaches right now. I'm in Manhattan, and I'll turn so you can see just where I am. The first intersection, the first stoplight behind me, that's 207th Street and 9th Avenue, and behind that is 207th Street and 10th Avenue. And you can see above there the subway station. It's an elevated subway at this point, and that's the 1 train. And so if you want to come up here by train, by the subway, that's the nearest subway station. Okay, so I'm just a little closer to the bridge and get a little bit of a better look at it. And I'll tell you a little bit about the history of the bridge, and because it has a very interesting history. Now on this location, back in the late 1800s, before this bridge was here, there was a low footbridge, a low wooden footbridge was built. But then by 1891, one of the more interesting historical events, at least in this part of Manhattan, they dredged the Harlem River and straightened it, and in order to allow for more shipping to take place. And there's a whole history of that and whole implications for the bridges and one of the more interesting geographical quirks of Manhattan. But in any case, in order to increase shipping, they had to tear down that old wooden footbridge. And it just so happened that just about a mile up to the north, the old Broadway bridge had to be taken down and rebuilt. And I'll get more of that when we get to the Broadway bridge. But the span was still usable. And so that span was just loaded onto a barge, pulled downriver, and set up here. And it was originally built in 1895 on Broadway. I had to look at that. 1895 as a Broadway bridge, but it was 1909 when it was moved down here. So 1909, this bridge was built. Over the decades, it started to deteriorate and it started to become a little bit obsolete. And by 1989, it had to be rebuilt. So from 1989, 1992, this was the truss was rebuilt. They used the same bridge foundations. So technically, they consider it the same bridge as the 1909 bridge, but it's a new truss. They widened the roadway a little bit. There used to be a sidewalk on both sides. Now there's only a sidewalk here on the south side, and it gets quite a bit of traffic. It's very heavily used, and to get between Manhattan and the Bronx, and bikes use it too. And I don't really blame them because the roadway is not really very safe for bikes. But that's a little bit about the history of the bridge. And so now we're going to go and just show you a little bit on the Bronx side. All right, so as we're walking across the bridge, here I'll just give you a little information. When they rebuilt the bridge in 1989, 1992, the bridge had historical significance, so they recreated it in the same architectural style. So they tried to make it look as much the same. You see, we go through like an old, what would have been an old guardhouse for the drawbridge, and you see some of the architectural features are reminiscent of the old original 1909 span. And I'm just going to show you down here. So right down there is the little island, but that's where the bridge covers that when it rotates. So it rotates 90 degrees, so you can see how much room the ships have to come through when they have to open that up. And you can see a little bit on the Manhattan side. And the waterfront in this area is not very well utilized. There's not going to be like waterfront parks too much. There actually are some little micro parks on the Manhattan side of the dead end of the streets from like 201st to 206th Streets. There's little dead end sections, and they have built what they call micro parks, which is maybe just maybe nothing more than some picnic benches or picnic tables, park benches, someplace you can sit. It's right on the water. You can look at the water. Maybe people go fishing. Maybe people have a little barbecue. Just a nice little thing. But you'll see also here, I'm just now passing the arms, the gates for when they have to close, or when they open the bridge. Just for sake of simplicity, if I say the bridge is open, it means open to shipping traffic, like the drawbridge is open. But like here you can see the waterfront in the Bronx. It's an old, unused lot. I don't know, maybe somebody uses it for something. But so now we're on the Bronx side. And on the Bronx side, we are meeting up with the Major Deegan Expressway is the first intersection. And there's plenty of stoplights and crosswalks, so it's safe for pedestrians and runners. But so now we're on another one of the approaches or associated infrastructure. This little bridge that covers this lot, and somebody's parking there. And then we're coming up to, I'll show you this, the University Heights Metro North station. So that's one of the train stations on the Metro North system. And right behind that is the on-ramps to the Major Deegan Expressway. The first street, like street that you can go onto is at the next light up there. That's Cedar Avenue. And so for runners, there's not any immediate parks or greenways right in the immediate area of the bridge. But if you're in the Bronx, and let's say you want to connect the bridges, go back. What I do sometimes, you just go back and forth across all the bridges in Harlem River. Makes a nice little run. But Cedar Avenue, you can hit that and go to the south, and you can be at the next bridge down is the Washington Bridge, not to be confused with the George Washington Bridge, but the Washington Bridge crosses the Harlem River, 181st Street. If you go up to the north, the next bridge up to the north is the Broadway Bridge, the new Broadway Bridge, and that's about a little under a mile, maybe upriver to the north. And of course, Harlem River is not river, so can't really say upriver. The river doesn't flow. Harlem River doesn't flow like a river. But anyway, so Cedar Avenue at that next stoplight up there. You can take that south. You can hit towards the next bridge, Washington Bridge. Make your way down towards Yankee Stadium. Is not too far. Okay, so if you are using this bridge to get to the Bronx, like I said, you can head south on Cedar Avenue. I'm turning the other way, so south is that way now. Down Cedar Avenue to get towards like the Washington Bridge, towards Yankee Stadium. If you go up the hill, then you can hit Sedgwick Avenue and go north for an alternate way to get to Van Cortlandt Park, one of the biggest and most beautiful parks in the whole New York City. If you continue on West Fordham Road, then you get to a nice busy business and shopping area, and then you get to the Fordham University campus, which is what Fordham Road is named after. And if you go past that, you can cross right between the New York Botanical Garden and the Bronx Zoo, and after that, then your Fordham Road becomes a Pelham Parkway, which has a really nice running path, nice greenway, beautiful little parkway, and you can take that out to Pelham Bay Park, City Island, Orchard Beach. It's a great place to run. Okay, so here we are at the University Heights Metro North station, and now you might be asking yourself, Phil, I don't see a university and it doesn't look very high. Well, University Heights neighborhood was named after a campus of the New York University, which is built. You can't really see it, but there's a hill up there, and there was a campus of NYU, New York University, built up there, which is now Bronx Community College, which is part of the CUNY system, but it's still there, and that's why they call it University Heights. All right, so before we head back into Manhattan, I just want to show you a couple of things real quick. So up there, up to the north, you can see, where is it? It's like right there. You can see that gray tower. That's the Broadway bridge that connects Broadway between Manhattan and Manhattan, but I'll get to that later. But this is also a nice view downriver, and that's the Harlem River looking downtown. And the next bridge down there is Washington Bridge. There's actually 3 bridges that are close together. We'll get to those later on, but it's a nice view from from Manhattan from here. And again, just of interest to runners, there's not like I said, not an immediate greenway or park system right nearby. But on the Manhattan side, we are very close to what I consider the triple crown of parks. So like 3 of the most beautiful parks in the whole city. And one of them is Highbridge Park, which you can see there, just downriver a little ways. There's trees along the water. It's a very hilly area. That's Highbridge Park. And then you have Fort Tryon Park, which is on the Hudson River, and Inwood Hill Park, which is on the very northern tip of Manhattan on the Hudson River also, and we'll get to that when we get to the Hudson River Bridge, or the Henry Hudson Bridge. We'll get to that on another video. But so those are the 3 beautiful parks, very hilly, and has some beautiful paths, great places to run. So if you're coming from the Bronx and want to hit that, it's great. Northern Manhattan is really fantastic place to run. All right, you may also remember me saying that this bridge gets a lot of pedestrian traffic, bike traffic, and auto traffic. You don't see that today because today is actually a holiday, and it's a pretty cold winter day, so you're not going to see it. There aren't a lot of people here today, but normally it's very busy, and the streets are quite busy. And because now we're here back at 207th Street and 9th Avenue, and I'll just turn around and show you some of this. These great big buildings behind me are just going up. They're residential buildings, and I've read they're adding about 600 residential units to the Inwood neighborhood, so it could change the landscape a little bit. Hopefully there'll be a good percentage of affordable housing, because New York needs affordable housing. but hopefully it doesn't change the neighborhood for the worse too much. And, everything's going to change a little bit. But in any case, that's 207th Street and 9th Avenue behind me, and behind that again you see the subway station at 10th Avenue, and that's the 1 train. That should do it. I think that should do it for our look at the University Heights Bridge. And again, that's our very first video in the series. Thank you for watching. We'll see where the wind takes me next time. It's not going to be, this is not going to go in any particular order, geographical or chronological or anything, just wherever I can get to next time. So thank you for watching, and hope to see you up here maybe sometime, and tune in for the next one.